we've gotten to this level. Hello everybody, welcome back to another educational bird video to teach you how to care better for your birds. Today we are continuing the topic of Luca and just rescues in general, and I wanted to talk today about feather plucking. So feather plucking behavior is something very commonly seen in neglected birds or rescue birds or birds who are not properly taken care of. So if you guys have seen my video before, I explained that explained that Luca previously he had his wings clipped, and on top of that, due to his care, he also ripped out his wings out of self-mutilation. So if you guys can see here, he doesn't really have. Some are growing back. He has like 3 wings growing back, but you guys can see here. Lift it up. Yeah, there you go. Lift it up, lift it up. You can see that they're not really there. So we're working on growing these back, but I did want to talk about, reasons for feather plucking, how to deal with feather plucking, and just things you can do to help out. So if your bird has whether started feather plucking, you've received a rescue who has self-mutilated, there's a long journey ahead, and there's just a reality that depending how severe it got, there is a possibility that this is dame cuatro is give me 4 in Spanish, so it means like high 4 for him. Yeah, high 4. So there is a very possible reality of how bad it got, that there just might be patchy spots where feathers never grow back because of how bad it was. In Luca's case, it does seem like his wings are growing back. I already see spots where they were ripped out, that they're already starting to come back. Yes. And ever since he came home with us, he has not self-mutilated at all. That aside, of course, always bring your bird home, accepting them for, what they look like, who they are, and just with the idea to help them and not to have some perfect, beautiful looking bird, but love them for who they are. So some reasons for feather plucking can include stress. It can be due to being lonely, wanting attention, or it could also be due to illness. These are usually the 3 main things that I find that feather plucking is due to, and otherwise, of course, it could be for other reasons, but I feel like they all fall under kind of these 3 categories. For Luca's case, it was because he was alone and he was stressed. He didn't get a lot of out of cage time. He didn't get a lot of attention. His cage was not large enough. There wasn't good toys. So Luca didn't have proper enrichment, proper toys, nothing to really spend his lonely time. So he got bored, and he just talked to himself a lot of the day, and nobody was really with him. So due to this, he obviously was lonely. He wanted attention. He ripped his wings out. His diet was poor. It was also a lot due to stress and the fact that his wings were clipped. Birds will, out of frustration, rip out their wings or just pluck their feathers because they're frustrated they can't use their wings. And his diet was poor, so he was stressed because of that. He was stressed because he just didn't get a lot of cage time out. Because of that, if you're able to kind of identify what it was that they plucked in the first place for, then you'll have an easier time kind of working through solutions. So for Luca, the solutions were simple, which were he needed attention, he needed out of cage time, he needed better toys. He just needed, to be with somebody. So like I said, ever since we came here, his cage has been open. We've been taking him around everywhere. And he's also used to be going out a lot, so we've been taking him out for walks. And so that's helped a lot with calming his stress, because now since morning to night, he is with somebody. He has time out of his cage, and he's not as lonely. There's always people here with him. My cockatiel Tilia, she also started developing feather plucking. When I first brought her, she was very stressed because, she was caged in a small cage with 7 other cockatiels. Lived in a garage with 1 tiny light bulb, all seed diet, and the change was really huge for her. She's stressed out. She started ripping out her feathers, and so our solution, of course, you have to be working through it. Sometimes you shouldn't be yelling at them for ripping out their feathers. They're already kind of stressed. Try and distract them instead. Try to, calm them down, calm the environment down if the environment's too rowdy. Talk to them, sing to them, compliment them, anything that will help them, keep them distracted, keep them entertained. Make sure they have an adequate space, adequate diet, they have an adequate attention time. Because you can't really expect to fix feather plucking due to boredom by never being at home. Environmental changes can also be very stressful for birds. When you bring them from an environment that they've been used to for many years, you bring them to a new one, not every bird's going to adapt fantastic. Luckily, Luca has adapted really great. We were worried the first day we brought him that he would be too stressed because he didn't know who we were, where we were. He would also be hearing Kiwi and Mango through the door, so we worried that would really stress him, but luckily it was the opposite. It really helped him out. He felt more comfortable here, but with Telia's case, it was very stressful for her, and she was molting and plucking a lot, and she was very stressed. So keep in mind, there is a difference between simply preening and molting versus feather plucking. When a bird self-mutilates, normally every bird has a molting period, and they preen themselves, they clean their feathers, and they lightly take out the ones that are falling so new ones grow. When a bird self-mutilates, they are ripping out feathers that are not ready to come out, and it is extremely painful. Sometimes they'll even scream as they do it. The danger with it is that a lot of the times they can hit a blood feather. Blood feathers are most commonly found in their wing area and their tail area, and it's just mostly like here in their wing muscle, is a lot of blood feathers where there's a large supply, a vessel supply of blood, and if they rip out one of those feathers, they can quickly bleed out. So it's really important to keep this in mind and know what to do in case something like this happens. Because sometimes you can't even make it to the vet, and you kind of have to have a knowledge of first aid on what to do, which is what I'm going to be telling you guys as well today. So in case this does happen, what you want to do is you always want to have cornstarch in the house. Cornstarch is a great blood coagulant, and it will stop the bleeding. So if you do rip out a blood feather, make sure to remove the shaft entirely with tweezers, not leaving anything left inside the wing. And then you have to do this quickly. This is not to be taken time. Make sure you watch videos, you prepare, you kind of get an idea for what it is. And then apply cornstarch, apply pressure until the bleeding stops. It's always a good idea to get them checked by the vet to make sure that there's no serious damage. Most of the time, it will just stop the bleeding, and then a new feather will pop in and grow in. You do want to be extra careful because sometimes the bleeding may not stop, and you need to apply pressure until you get to the veterinary so they can properly treat it. Hello. So if a bird is just preening or naturally molting, they will not be ripping out blood feathers. They will just simply be going through their feathers, and the feathers will naturally just fall. There's going to be no pain, no ripping, no blood. I did mention that the third reason can be due to illness, and an example can be if your bird is suffering due to fatty liver disease. As an example, they can be plucking around their liver area because they're so, frustrated and in pain. They don't know what to do. It's kind of like pulling your hair when you're really mad or you're really frustrated. If they are preening and molting, the feathers will always go through their cycle. They'll always grow back. They always have usually 2 periods a year where they have a big molt, usually in the spring and closer to the fall. So whether they're plucking, whether they're preening, whether they're molting, something that you can help them out with growing in new feathers is a good amount of protein, and calcium helps them a lot bringing in their new feathers. And something that I always recommend for birds who are either self-mutilating or while they're molting is just scrambled egg. Yes, it is okay for your bird to eat scrambled egg. Yes, it is normal. A lot of people freak out saying, oh, but it's a bird, it's another bird. Well, yeah, birds eat other birds. That's kind of the thing. Hawks eat birds. Toucans eat baby bird eggs. It's just nature, right? So you can take a Teflon-free pan, unseasoned, no oils, no butters, just cook a scrambled egg plain, feed it to them. Some of them like it hard-boiled, mine like it scrambled, but give it to them once a week, and this will help with their feather growth. It'll also help them just grow in new feathers because it can be uncomfortable and it can be a bit painful for them sometimes to grow in new feathers, and that's just a little kind of like a boost help kind of thing. It also helps when they are on a good diet in order to grow in new feathers. In the end, it's always a good idea to consult your veterinary if your bird has started self-mutilating, is self-mutilating, in order to look at the cause, because maybe you are giving them, proper care, and, they're just getting old and they've developed, an illness or something. You never know. It's just, even if you think you're doing a great job, it's always good to see your vet if they do start self-mutilating, because that is never normal. It could be a psychological reason, it could be a physical reason, and you always want to prevent it before it gets really bad, especially because you don't want them to hurt themselves, you don't want them to rip out a blood feather, and from someone who has heard that screech of pain when they rip out a feather, it's so painful to hear that, and I just personally do not want that to happen. So it's just kind of a little bit of an intro on feather plucking. Just one of the many behavioral issues that you can run into, especially with rescue birds, and how to fix it. I hope this helped. If you guys enjoyed the video, give a thumbs up, hit subscribe if you want to see more of us, check out our social media links down below, and we will see you guys next time. Bye bye.